What is your story? What is the story you are telling yourself about you, your life, your aspirations? Has your story, your personal narrative, changed over the years, but your actions and life somehow have not caught up with that? Or perhaps you don't think about your story as life is so busy and so unpredictable that focusing on you and your story feels somehow selfish. Are you sometimes afraid to look at yourself, your life, your story? Because, in all honesty, I am sometimes afraid to look at my story, as I might not like it as much as I imagine I could. What if it is too painful to analyze or to rewrite your story? At the end of the day, fear is a strong motivation not to do something or to look another way. Since we are all surrounded by stories 24/7, I thought to myself that perhaps taking time away from distractions and busyness and news to look more closely at my own story could be an act of radical kindness and radical self care towards myself. I don't know how about you, but as a neurodiverse creative individual, the story I often tell myself about myself is really harsh and pretty critical of my work, achievements, or lack of them. I'm really tough on myself, my own expectations, and the standards of my work. But stories, just like people, should be allowed to change, grow, and evolve, right? As individuals, we should take the time to recognize when a narrative has run its course and a new narrative needs to take its place. In my opinion, the global narrative that has been circulating over the past couple of decades is rather disempowering. On one hand, popular culture is screaming for equal opportunities and following one's dreams. On the other hand, the barriers to fulfilling those dreams are really high, for example, such as the student debt. The films, videos, and social media tell us that it is possible to dream big and achieve those dreams, but the reality is often very different, especially if your life is all about surviving. When it comes to social, economic, and political change, we, the people, are often told that change can happen because of the laws, the system, traditions, economic instability, inflation, oil prices, war, environmental crisis, and the list can go on. And all those excuses leave people feeling overwhelmed, so they won't ask questions, fight for change, or truly believe that dreams can materialize. Luckily, history has proven that the global narrative can change and is often challenged by ordinary people taking small, at first wobbly steps towards creating a new story. It's clear to me that our individual stories are interconnected with the global narrative as we are influenced by what is happening on the world stage, one way or another, and whether we like it or not. By becoming truly empowered in any way possible, we could change the destructive, power grabbing global narrative that represents only a really, really small fraction of the society. Personally, I'm empowering myself through education, creativity, radical kindness, and radical self care towards myself, my family, and my small community. I'm also using my money wisely, which in the current system seems to be the only currency those in charge of the global narrative respond to. Just imagine if our individual, community, as well as global stories were all about kindness, cooperation, humanity before profit, greed, and individual power. Just imagine what social change could take place if the focus of the stories shifted from wealth hoarding and class divide to equality, kindness, and mutual respect for one another and for our planet. Psychologists, personal wellness gurus, and motivational speakers often talk about changing the narrative, changing the negative narrative about us, our lives, and our circumstances. So, if that's the case, what if we create a global story that could be the shining light in the darkness. The global story would comprise our individual stories without excluding those with whom we might disagree. What if changing and redefining our personal and global stories were to become an act of radical resistance in 2026? What if reimagining the future of our planet is what we need in order to take control of the narrative? Instead of being passive observers, we take charge of the future by rewriting the current story we are being sold. Is this a radical approach to change? Perhaps, maybe for some. Is it unusual? Of course. By empowering ourselves, our lives, and our communities through stories and storytelling, will help us rewrite the exploitive narrative we have been part of for too long. We don't need to ask for permission from those who don't hear us, ignore us, and don't respect our contribution to society, however it's made. I propose we look for people, communities, and spaces that truly inspire us, are inclusive, and encourage collaboration and community building. I'm going to finish this video essay with a quotation from one of my favorite movies. What say you? Thank you so much for watching and listening. I would love to hear from you, your thoughts, your stories, and what you think about the radical narrative change. If you have not subscribed, please do subscribe, as your action will not only help me grow my channel but also spread the storytelling message. And until next time, happy creating and storytelling.